Hello, my name is Omar Rampersad. It is Monday, November 14, 2016 at 2:45 p.m. in Toronto. I'm going to talk a little bit today about stewardship and mental incapacity as part of the community targeting program. I am a community target, and I am being targeted in, uh, in a number of ways. So one of the ways I suspect that I am being targeted is a member of my family has had me declared mentally incapacitated, and based on false documentations and false claims, and signing affidavits that's not true, and statements that's not true, and with a criminal intent to defraud, basically. Now, I suspect also that as a result of this declaration, the judge or magistrate probably gave a stewardship, awarded a stewardship to the person who was in the court doing this. And the stewardship probably gave the person the right to look into my financial status and track my financial activity and so on. Since I'm saying that I suspect that it's going on, obviously it's not been disclosed to me. It has never been disclosed to me if it is true. And disclosure is a good thing if my family member is listening and looking at this. I also suspect that as a result of the targeting program that I was placed in, I was flagged in the system, and certain individuals in the community has taken it upon themselves to adjoin and espouse me as a way of bypassing the system whereby you need a guardianship or you apply for a guardianship. This is a way of gaining control over me, another way of targeting me, to take away my autonomy based on fraudulent claims. These claims would be about my mental capacity, my emotional stability, and so on. Now, if the intent is, the criminal intent is to find me criminally insane or mentally retarded and so on, part of the program is to constantly set traps for you to react to the target, and in this case me, um, to react in such a way where recordings could be made and used as evidence. And I believe this has happened quite a bit in my instance. Excuse me. Just to get back to the topic of stewardship, I believe the stewardship is being passed on to people who are around me in the form of surveillance. The claims would be made that here are these statements, here are these complaints made to probably the Toronto police, and here is an accumulation of information in this file that has an air of criminality about it. This person most likely is a criminal, so we need to look at her really carefully and track her and surveil her, and make sure that she doesn't get into any more trouble. Of course, none of this is true. In my instance, I believe I was labeled as a prostitute. Maybe people were signing affidavits saying they're suspecting that I am. Maybe there are lineups of men saying that, yeah, we saw her in so-and-so place and so time. And yes, she was a prostitute, and yes, she was soliciting me, when none of it is true. I'm suspecting that's the case because I've had men follow me around and certainly tried to solicit me, but changed their minds when they decided that I didn't look like a prostitute at all. So, and I actually reported some of these incidents to the authorities. So, of course, I'm not a prostitute, or else I wouldn't be sitting here telling you I'm not a prostitute. Not good for business if I was. And definitely not good for solicitation if that was my intent. So obviously it's not true. And anybody who's claiming that they're suspecting that I am, or any lineup of men who are saying, yeah, I saw her, and yes, she was a prostitute, obviously defaming me, and it's defamation of character. Should not be done. Anyways, the stewardship would be on some of these claims. So then the surveillance are going to be based on some of these claims. And I suspect that this is what happened in my case, and I'm being surveilled illegally so. In my workplace, in my home, in the condominium complex in which I live, I am being harassed as a prostitute. I know I'm being followed around and looked at and surveilled. And I believe different kinds of technologies are being used to invade my privacy to get even more information to prove a case. Like surveillance inside my home, cameras inside my home, even as I sleep at night and so on, I'm suspecting. Because there is technology that's very invasive. Even being chipped and your body being invaded by these technologies via chipping is a possibility as well. So this is, given today's technology and given how common, being microchipped is these days, people are doing it on their own. It's not at all unreasonable to suspect that as a target, you might be targeted this way. I'd go so far as to say that invading your bodies with directed energies and simulating rape would probably be another way of targeting. So these are ways that I'm suspecting I'm being targeted through as a result of being declared mentally incapacitated and suspected prostitute. It sets you up to be targeted. So also, if there are people out there who are listening to this and are accessing information on the net about me, it probably will not be under my name, my real name. I'd probably be under a pseudonym. Keep in mind that the claims that's being made in some of these websites and some of these updating sites and so on, where information is constantly being updated, because I am being surveilled everywhere I go, I suspect, and everything I do and say is being updated to some site where people are accessing it constantly. And because I'm constantly being followed around, and special attention is being paid to what I do and say all the time, and it being interpreted in a certain way. So just to the people who are listening and looking at this, just keep in mind what I just said. The information that's being accessed about me on the system that you're accessing, wherever on the system that information is not true. It's a form of targeting. It's propaganda. It's meant to degrade and dehumanize, which is also part of the community targeting program. So please keep that in mind. And to the family member who had me, I suspect, declared mentally incapacitated, please provide evidence that you did so, disclose that you did so I can deal with it in a courtroom as it should be dealt with. Bypassing the system is part of a conspiracy. It could be viewed as a conspiracy to have me mentally committed. So if you did it without telling me, and you intend to tell me sometime in the future that's not going to work, it needs to be disclosed, and it should be done immediately.